Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Mentor Monday. So excited to be here. I see a bunch of people in the chat pretty early getting hyped for today. I saw that some people think that I've already moved. I think I might have been unclear about that last week, but if some of you who don't know, or some of you are finding out for the first time, I'm moving across the country to Los Angeles, but that is in 5 days. So this is the last Mentor Monday from the brick, the home studio that you all know and love. The only reason that this mask is up is because I didn't want to send it with the truck, so it's actually going to get sent a different way. So it'll probably be there after a bunch of stuff. But here we are back. Let me know if there's any technical issues. It's okay if you thought that. Don't worry. I see a bunch of you in the chat. I want to say hello. Housekeeping stuff first, and then I'll jump into chat and see how you all are doing. Mentor Monday is a segment on the channel where we talk about some of the more philosophical aspects of being a home studio electronic music producer or just overall creative, and the less technical side of that. So some of the more creative workflow type questions, motivational type stuff. And every Monday on Mentor Monday, you can actually call in. Meaning that I set up a Zoom chat, which if you don't have Zoom, you can just download on your phone or on your computer. I put my meeting ID into the chat when the time comes. Everybody can join. It puts you into a waiting room, and I take one call at a time. The chat can hear you. They just can't see you. So it should be fine. I'm super stoked because the move is coming up in 5 days, but as you can see from my desk, I still have quite a bit to pack and a few more things I need to shoot before I go. But it's going to be very exciting. Today we're talking all about starting something new, the discomfort of starting something new, but the overall benefits of like pushing yourself into new territory and stepping out of your comfort zone, and thinking back to times when we've actually done that, stepped out of our comfort zone, tried something new. Like at some point for all of us, music production was new. And for those of us who are enjoying it and enjoy being a musician, creating music, I can probably guess that for all of us, it has paid off, and we actually really love music production and are glad that we took that step into something new. But we're going to talk about that in more depth after I check in with chat. So if you're watching later, not live, you can tune in every Monday in the afternoon EST. Pretty soon I'll be on PST, so I got to figure that out. Next week, we will not be live on YouTube, but we will be live on Instagram. So if you have not added me on Instagram, go to @TAETRO on Instagram, TAETRO, and I'm going to do it through Instagram Live because I can do it with people and I can still take questions, and I think that'll be a fun alternative. I just won't have everything set up because we literally move in next Monday, but I still want to get on and do a Mentor Monday. So next week, we'll be on Instagram Live. But those of you who are watching live, thank you. So Daniel is here. Move is going well. Thank you for asking. We're still in the final stages. Go out there this weekend. Gabu, what's up? I just talked about the topic, so I hope you're ready for that. Joshua A. What's up? Lucas, I'm sorry to hear that you're having a bad day, but I'm happy to hear that the stream is making it slightly better. So hopefully I can live up to that. If you want to call in and talk about it, let's do it. Simon, thank you for being here. Nova Beats, what is going on? Move is still in progress. Move is a lot of work indeed. God move for sure. What is going on, Rashane? Welcome to the chat. Welcome, Mocha Bear. Welcome, Tamra is here. Tamra is a patron over at patreon.com/TAETRO, and you could become one as well by heading there for as little as $1. Get you an invite to the Discord chat, get you to submit music to the podcast, which I have been slacking on because of this move, but once I'm out in LA, you can expect weekly podcasts, and that will be fun. Mahir is here. Welcome. Juan, what is going on? I'm glad to hear that the last Mentor Monday was helpful. Thanks for joining. Bueno, what's going on? Savage TV. Mr. Manny the Boss. Oh, I wonder if you're in LA, the boss. Pugil is here. What's going on? You have a cool font in your name, Pugil. I don't know how to do that. Alexis, what is up? What's up? Diego, what's going on? Peace, man. Charles, good to see you here. Hopefully I can provide that inspiration that y'all are looking for. And also, I see a lot of these names. Let me know if you guys stay all the way to the end. We usually try to go for about an hour and 15. That's why I start 15 minutes earlier. I'll try to get as many calls in as possible after we start the chat, after we start the kind of the rant, you could call it, I suppose. We shouldn't need a password today. I should be able to get people into this Zoom, no problem. But as usual, you guys let me know if there are any issues at all. So our topic today, the quickest way to level up your music production skills. And it sounds like a clickbaity kind of title, but when you think about it in relation to learning new things and stepping out of your comfort zone, it really is true. There is some, of course, value in having a certain set of skills and working every day to improve those set of skills. And that should always be part of our workflow. But the aspect that we cannot forget about is adding new tools to the tool belt, right? So if you get really good at using a hammer and nails, right? You might say, okay, that's all I want to do. All I want to do is use hammer and nails, but not every job requires hammer and nails. Sometimes you need something a little more heavy duty, so you have to learn how to use a drill, or you have to learn how to use a screwdriver or a saw. And for as long as you just say, I only want to use hammer and nails, I only want to do this thing that I'm super comfortable with, that I love doing, that I'm very good at, I only want to do this, then you're only going to be able to do so many things. You can only hang so much with the hammer and nails. You need other tools in your tool belt. And that's where we kind of start to stop growing. And it's really tricky because at one point you didn't know how to use hammer and nails. Let's break out of the metaphor, right? At one point, you didn't know how to use the DAW that you use. At one point, you didn't know how to play that instrument that you know how to play. So that was growth for you. Stepping into that is growth. And now you've reached a certain level of comfort with it, and it feels like going through a finish line. But we cannot view these things like finite races with an end and a finish line, because it's a constant journey. It's a journey that doesn't really have an end. It's a hero's journey, a journey where we sort of evolve into something new day after day after day. It's not a running towards the finish line and breaking through and you've made it. I think some of the most successful people, some people far more successful than me, will talk about their successes that way as well, and especially in relation to happiness. If you set yourself up to thinking that there is a finish line and that you will have arrived at a certain point, then you probably are going to set yourself up for some unhappiness, because there's always going to be something to learn. There's always going to be space to grow. So how does this take form? For me, I am just as guilty of this as everybody else in the chat. One of my very big vulnerabilities is only using Ableton Live, right? So that's one of my favorite DAWs. But if you guys watched the talk with Rashad Brajan the other night on Thursday, who walked us through the new Logic update and all these new cool things about Logic, he showed us the step sequencer in Logic, right? And that is something that is not in Ableton Live. It's actually very similar to like my model cycles and other Electron gear. And that is something that is a tool that I probably would like to add to my tool belt. It's a very daunting task though, because I've been so fluent in Ableton Live or learning it at least for a decade, and then becoming fluent in it over that decade, that it's very hard to push myself to learn a new piece of software. This even comes across with different plugins, different tools, different types of compressors. Like, do we only want to use the Ableton stock stuff, or do we only want to, like, there's so many options. And when you see some of the most successful people that you look up to, you see that they actually have a very wide skill set and that they're constantly pushing. Another mark of this, if you think of people that you looked up to that are no longer around anymore, I don't necessarily mean they're dead, but I mean like they're not either out in the spotlight anymore, or you have nothing from them to consume anymore. It could mean, of course, that they moved on from whatever they were doing that you looked up to them for and are just living a happy, peaceful life. But it could also mean that they stayed with one thing and didn't move on to the next thing. And that's really tricky, and it's difficult as artists because we fall in love with our tools. We fall in love with our gear, like especially gear. And I'm one of the people who's blessed to work with brands and get lots of gear gifted, and to make videos with lots of gear. So I get to try lots of different things, but if I only had access to one thing, like if I only had access to this launch key, one of my favorite controllers, would it limit my creativity versus if I picked up, say, my Sensor Morph and started swapping out some of the surfaces for it and worked with things a different way? In a lot of ways, this is what I love about controllerism, right? In controllerism, when you have access to lots of different controllers, and this is essentially the metaphor come to life, right? These are tools in my toolbox, okay? They look completely different. The approach to using them is completely different. Thus, the music that comes out is generally kind of different. I've honed my sound enough, I've honed what I want to do enough to get it all to sound cohesive, but swapping out these tools is enough to help me break habits and find new ways and new sounds and new approaches to creating music. And if I just said, oh, I really just like this one thing, I just want to stick to it, everything would probably start to sound the same after a little while. That's not to say you have to have a bunch of MIDI controllers to do this, because like I said, this takes place in all forms. Maybe you're super used to playing in the key of C and you don't want to learn other scales. That's going to limit you. It's going to limit your sound. It's going to limit your vocabulary, your musical vocabulary. And that's never something we want to do. So how do we get over this? How do we stop ourselves from, feeling not trapped or trapping ourselves basically in this idea that we can't change, that we've learned enough, that we can stop now? And while I talk about kind of ways we can combat this, I'm going to drop the meeting ID into the chat. So if you're in the chat right now and you want to call in, I do ask that if you called in last week, let's let some other folks get ahead, and I'll take the calls in the waiting room as they appear. But so if you called in last week, just wait till the second call out of when I drop the thing in the chat. But go ahead and take that meeting ID, join, and don't worry, you will be put into a waiting room. You won't be put on screen or anything. But how do we combat this? It really is, how do we combat that idea that we can keep learning and that there's no finish line? And it really is that mentality. And if you can master this mentality from the beginner level on, then you will have set yourself up for a very happy career as an artist. What it really comes down to is realizing you have to actually love the pursuit of the skills more than you love the attaining the skills, right? And it has to do with putting out content and putting out music too, because a lot of us like plan for a big release, right? We get together music for our next EP, or we're going to drop our next single. We drop it and then we stop. Like we just finished something, like we just crossed a finish line, like nothing's ever going to come after. When really you should be dropping something onto the next thing, dropping something onto the next thing. You gotta embrace the process and fall in love with the process before you fall in love with end product or end result in terms of skill. That is the way to master that happiness. Now, like I said, this is something that I grapple with all the time and I battle with. It's hard because we love our work, right? We work so hard on these tracks, on whatever we make as artists, and we want to package it perfectly and put it out to the world, and we want to receive a bunch of feedback. We want to hear people say positive things about our work, and we want people to follow us, people to pay attention, people to listen, whatever it is. And then when that doesn't meet our expectations, because usually we have the highest expectations, or the highest hopes at least, which we should have high hopes, but we should also be realistic, and we should be our own strongest critic, right? Like if you think of friend types, right? You have the friend that always gasses you up, that tells you like you're great, you're amazing, cool. And then maybe you have a friend who's a little more critical. If you want to be the best of both worlds in those two people, you want to be able to tell yourself honestly, like I can do better, or honestly, I'm going to put this out, I'm going to start working on the next thing. And you want to be able to be positive enough so that you're consistently motivated. I think that is the key there. Being your best critic, your most honest critic, which is very hard to be non-biased towards yourself. You're living in your own head. So living in the land of not getting frozen in time to not release anything, and then also living in the land of not gassing yourself up too much that you put out stuff that's not really up to par. Just something to think about and something we want to do to kind of combat this. But I think we can do this together, especially if we have community to embrace and to be a part of, like what we have here today with everybody in the chat and like with the folks that are calling in. Yusef, I see you in the waiting room. You will be our first call today. I'm stoked that you called in. But embrace that mentality. It's no finish line. It's a process. And I did see somebody say it's a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, I would argue that it's not even a marathon, Eric, but that is like a good way to kind of ease yourself into this mentality, because a marathon still has a finish line, right? But it's endless. There is no finish line. I can't even say it's like climbing a mountain, because you get to the top of the mountain and there is no top of the mountain. There is no finish line in this. So what do you have besides the process of doing it? If you do that, then you'll never stop, and you'll constantly have a flow of music or a constant flow of content or a constant flow of whatever art you make, because you're loving doing it. You're not loving showing it, right? Showing it is an important part of being able to sustain and do this for a living, or in a way that makes you independent. So that should be a goal, but it should not be the pursuit. The pursuit is making art and loving it. With that, I think we're going to jump into some calls. So like I said earlier, I dropped a meeting ID, and some more folks jumped into the chat. So what is going on, folks? If I didn't say your name, Norbug, Eric Camacho, Juan, I think. Yeah, so Juan says, I'm very comfortable with MIDI, but love analog synths too, but that's like more complicated to use. Exactly. And you see people go on this journey. You can see creators you love that didn't use hardware before go back to their early videos and they're not using hardware, and you see that they made an evolution. And one of the reasons they're still around, and this is strictly in YouTube land, one of the reasons they're still around is because they embraced that analog land and they went for it and they stepped out of their comfort zone, you know? iToro Dog is here. iToro Dog, another patron. Thanks for hanging out, man. Enrico is here. What's going on? Okay, shall we take a call? Yusef, you're up first. And folks, make sure you mute the stream when I call on you and I admit you to the call, or else it'll echo back for us. Sometimes Zoom is funny like that. Dropping in the meeting ID again. Sabine Rowe, greetings from the East Coast of the United States to England. What is up? Welcome. All right, Yusef, I'm going to see if this works. I keep clicking the button, but I think I'm just not being patient. Room code is in the chat again, folks. If you have questions around this or just questions around creativity in general. Zoom is taking a while today. I think I did it this time. Let's see. Give it a moment. If you guys are finding trouble with the Zoom, let me know. Yusef, I guess it wouldn't let me add you to the call, but try to call in again and I will take it. I saw a couple people. Barrett, I'm going to try you next. Let's see if this works. I'm hoping. And make sure you enable your microphone. That's usually the last thing to happen, the last thing that holds us up. Barrett, as soon as you enable your microphone, you will be on the air. Oh, my mom's here. Hi, Mom. And Barrett left me too. What's going on, folks? If you guys are having trouble with Zoom, please let me know, because I'd like to make it as easy as possible. Let's check in with Gabu. Gabu's been through this because he had trouble with his mic 2 weeks ago. So we'll see what happens. See if we can get the mic up and running today. And then you guys let me know if you can hear the caller too. Let me know on the levels. Orpheus Music, what is going on? What's up, Gabu? You're on the air.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very good, Nick. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Is your family staying safe and everything?
Yeah. How
Awesome.
about you? I think you're going to move to LA in around 5 days.
That's true. In 5 days, we are first we have to get rid of all of the furniture that we're not bringing. Then I have to wait for my suitcases to get delivered. Then I have to fill those suitcases with all this gear that you see here that I did not put on a moving truck, and then we will be in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. So it's a lot.
I think you didn't even have a proper sleep or something. Like you look some like stressed and all.
A little bit, yeah. It's been a very busy past few days, and it's about to be an even busier next few days. So I'll sleep when we get there.
Yeah. So can I ask my question?
Take it away.
So I told you I was getting my MIDI controller, so I got it and I started doing with FL Studio.
Amazing. Remind the
So
chat what
then
controller you got.
uh, Akai MPK Mini MK2.
Nice. Nice.
So what happened was I started doing that. I went through some quick stuff, seeing how to do play all that. So at one point of time, I got one song. Maybe I tried something. I got one song. So after that, I thought of doing something else, but I was stuck at that song.
What do you mean you are
I was
stuck?
like,
You didn't want to move on from it, or
no, I was like, whatever I was playing, if the same chord strikes again, it's like I'm going with the song again.
right?
Let's say the song I learned was Closer. So I was playing some chord, and if some other song I wanted to play was a same chord, and I'm skipping to the same song again, like Closer.
So you're feeling super comfortable with that song, is what I'm hearing, in that you're having trouble moving on from it because you're so comfortable with that song already.
Yeah.
It's tough, but how did you get into the process of learning that song initially? That first song. What did you do to get yourself to learn that song?
Like I found that song was too simple. Like it was one time pressing the keys and all.
Right.
Then the beats were too simple for that. Then I thought it's so easy, and I found many people asking me like I showed my friends and all. They were like, "Bro, do this, do that." I was like, "No, bro, I'll do what I want."
For sure.
Then I started seeing all the videos. The first video I found the songs which I heard was Closer.
Mm-hmm.
So I started seeing the video and I found it more easy. So I started doing that. Then I don't know what happened. I had tried to move to another song, but I didn't find it easy for me.
Of
I didn't know what
course.
to do.
It's not going to be easy. This is the thing. So, this is exactly what we're talking about today. So, you started with something great. You started with something simple and easy that you could actually learn. And if you're saying it's too easy, there's nothing wrong with that because you're just starting. You just got your controller, you're learning the software, you're getting into it.
Mhm.
And that's how people should start. But we're trying to, what we have to do is try to push ourselves beyond that simplicity and that easy hold on, I just have to like ban somebody in the chat because they're bothering me. Sorry, one moment.
Okay.
And guys, like, you got to keep it respectful. Like there's some dude that comes to this chat and to this channel just to like say negative stuff, and it's just not okay. But I think most everybody in this chat is super respectful and super nice, so thanks. All right, but back to this, because I really do believe that you started yourself off perfectly, and you started yourself off simply and easily, because if you didn't do that, your Akai and PK MIDI would just be collecting dust, because you'd be like, oh, this is too hard. You'd be where you are now, but you skipped to it. But now that you learned something simple, you have to still push yourself a little bit beyond what you're capable of. That's the only way you learn. Like, of course, the next thing you learn is going to be hard and isn't going to be as easy as Closer. And I saw this a lot when I was teaching like teens in real life, because they learn one thing, or I teach them one thing, and that's all they'd want to do. They'd feel like they made it. So I'll ask you this: do you want to just play Closer for the rest of your life, or Closer?
No.
No, you want to play a lot of other things and eventually make your own stuff, right?
Yep.
So if it means that you take from this Mentor Monday to next week's Mentor Monday, spending every single day learning a new song and challenging yourself and pushing yourself beyond the limits of what you can do, and all you do for 1 week is learn that one single song and do not play closer again until you've learned that new song. That's what you have to do. And it's going to feel bad at first. It's going to feel hard at first, but that is what it's all about. Like once you start embracing this idea that you want to be better, and it doesn't have to feel bad. It's going to feel bad at first, of course. But once you start embracing this idea that you're not going to learn it in the snap of a finger, you will be able to learn so much faster because you'll just get over that and you'll just say, even though it's going to take a week, it's faster than what you're doing now, which is saying, oh, this is too hard. Let me just go back to the easy thing. Every time you do that, it delays you by like a day, another hour for learning something new. So don't delay yourself by going back to what's easy. Embrace that it's hard, embrace that it's going to be difficult, push yourself and be. If you need to use my voice in the back of your head in the process of doing this, do that, but it will be your own thoughts and coming from you. But use my voice to tell you, like, no, stop playing the easy song. Push yourself. Play the harder song. Push yourself. Learn one small part of the hard song, and then tomorrow learn the next small part of the hard song. Okay? And it won't be perfect. And maybe you get to the end of the week and you've learned half of the hard song, half the parts, or half the things that you needed to learn to master that song. But you'll still be further along than you were. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful.
You got to be like your own drill sergeant, like your own like motivator in your head. Like, don't let yourself be lazy. Like, what would you do if you had a teacher over your shoulder? Like, just imagine that like that teacher over your shoulder. Would that teacher let you just keep playing closer over and over again? Probably not. They probably say, okay, let's warm up with that. Let's warm up with what we learned from that and really dissect what I learned from that. But then let's move on. Time to do something new.
Mhm.
Don't let yourself fall into the trap because, like you said, you told me you don't want to play closer for the rest of your life. You want to learn new stuff and you want to make your own stuff. So
Yeah, that's true.
live up to that. You told me that. I didn't tell you that. So tell yourself
Yeah,
that.
yep. Sure.
And then next week, I want to hear about the progress, okay? Next week, we're going to be on Instagram. Do you have Instagram?
Yeah, I have Instagram.
All right, so make sure you add me and then make sure you look out for next week
And I
because,
was having problem with the patron page. I thought of going on to it, but since I'm an Indian, I needed something like one which offers me in rupees, like ones that I can pay in rupees.
right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry
Is there
about
any
that.
option for that?
I don't know. There should be, or if you use like PayPal or something, there should be. But don't worry too much. If you can't, you can't. It's fine. I totally understand. But I'll look more into it and see if there is a solution between now and next week and try to figure it out. And you can like send me a DM too on Instagram if you have other issues. But hopefully you can call in next week on Instagram and we can see about the progress
Yeah,
and how much
sure.
you've pushed yourself. Okay.
Sure, Nick.
And Lucas has advice for you in the chat. He says, keep trying harder songs, create different stuff, use what you already know to make new music. So there you go. That's your motivation from chat too.
Wow, thanks, Lucas.
But thank you so much for calling in, man. And I hope I can talk to you next week. Okay?
Okay, Nick. Bye.
See ya.
See you.
All right, friends. We have an empty waiting room. I think some folks that were in the waiting room were having tech issues. But here is the code to call in on Zoom. So please go ahead, jump in the waiting room. I'm happy to take your call. And we'll chat a little bit more. But like that's an example of something we see all the time. Maybe we see it in ourselves, chat. I'm asking. Are you seeing yourself get super comfortable with something like a track or like a DAW or like a tool and it's like you get stuck on it because it's easy and you just kind of do it over and over again? I've definitely been there and I've had students that have been there too. Felipe, what is up? Good to see you. Adding BitPlay to the call. What's going on, BitPlay? How are you?
Hey man, I've been doing music production for a year or maybe a little more,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I can do some cool loops or beats, but I can make a full song if that makes sense.
So lots of loops, but you can't break out of it.
Yeah,
What DAW are you using?
Yeah, using Ableton.
Yeah, so that's the number one thing. I get questions on this all the time. So you're working in session view?
No, no, no. I usually work in the arrangement view,
Really?
but
But
it's
you're
like,
still getting stuck in the loops, huh?
yeah, I don't know how to like. Maybe I've done a couple of songs or so,
Mm-hmm.
but I cannot break through all of that.
Right. All right. What I'm going to recommend to you, I just did a full tutorial series with ADSR on this exact subject. So what we do is like over the course of a bunch of streams, we start with basically we do exactly what you're saying. We start with just loops and then we actually bring it to the arrangement phase. So I'm going to send you a part 2 of a stream. Oh, I just played music through the stream, but I'm going to send you part 2 of this stream. And I'm putting it in chat. I think that's the easiest way so everybody can see it. I'm putting it in the YouTube chat. But that live stream is basically me solving that problem. So we start with 5 loops and we build it into a song. So what you need to work on is your arranging skills. And one thing you can do ahead of watching this stream is take your favorite songs and try to write out the song form. So try to write out, okay, like count the bars and be like, all right, this is 8 bars of an intro. This is 8 bars of a verse. Then it's 4 bars of a little break. And then 8 bars of a hook. And then it goes back to the verse for 8 bars. Like write that out for like your top 3 favorite songs. And then all you have to do is mimic that and start thinking about how your arrangements, how you can take the loops that you already have and put them into that arrangement. Then what you'll notice is you might have holes. You might be like, oh, I need to switch things up. I need to do something different. Then you will have to add new music stuff. But the starting point is like your loops. So if you start with your loops and you can find a way to arrange them into a track, then figure out what's missing, then add new stuff, then you have a finished track. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. And where are you calling in from, by the way?
From Spain, from near to Barcelona.
Oh, wow. I hope things are going well for you over there.
Yeah, we're fine, more or less.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling, and let me know if that video that I just dropped in the chat is helpful.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace. All right. Talia, I saw you in the waiting room a few minutes ago, but I lost you. Yeah, Gabu is thanking people in the chat. You guys are a great community, so we should all be helping each other, you know? It's super helpful. I'll drop the code in here again so you can call in. I'm ready for the next caller. Fill up that waiting room. Somebody told me I had to update Zoom or something. Is that an issue? Zoom giving update. You need to update to the new app. So if you guys have to update Zoom, or let me know if I have to update Zoom. I'm not sure. Christian Fisher, thank you for your time and work. Awesome. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. You guys are a super positive community, and I really appreciate it. I actually, like, brutally honest, like, this is a great way to start the week, is for us to all get together on this stream and hang out and talk about creative stuff, right? I'm curious if people are just stuck at home, if people are home from school, or if people are working from home. Curious to know what everybody's situation is, how you're able to watch the stream, because I'm launching something next week, the beginning of June, through 343 Labs, which I'm the creative director of at that school. It's an online electronic music school. So it's basically what I do, kind of teach electronic music production. But at 343 Labs, we've got a lot of amazing instructors from the industry, like techno legends and people that are charting on Beatport and things like that. We've got them all teaching. And next week, we're launching something big. Well, we're announcing it this week. So I will definitely need you all to help me out and get the word out about what we're launching. So stay tuned to my socials the next few days, because we're going to be announcing really soon something that has to do with streaming and streaming more often, that kind of stuff. Diego asks, any tips on staying organized with samples? Yeah, so this is a problem for me. I'm not going to act like I'm the most organized with samples, but it's 2 things. One, like not getting samples from too many different places. So it's really convenient if you get your samples from Splice, right? Because if you get your samples from Splice, they all live in your Splice library and you can search them. And I love how Splice has it right at the top of your screen. You can drop it down and use it within your DAW. Take that a step further, and I don't mean to keep like plugging different things, but the ADSR sample manager, which is free. Yes, Nova just typed it in, the ADSR sample manager. It's free. You can point it to all your different sample folders and it actually tags them, and you can search from the tags. Like, it does this automatically, whether it's samples from Splice or samples from the ADSR library, whatever. Tags them all. You can search them all. You can even edit the samples in the sample manager. So basic things like fades or transposition or cutting, you can do that all inside the sample manager, and then click and drag that edited sample into your DAW. It's actually like super clutch. Ashton Peterson says, just picked up a MIDI controller, a MIDI keyboard. Is Melodics a good place to start? Yeah, that's a really good place to start. The only issue I have with Melodics is it seems a little bit expensive. Like, it's paid like right out the gate, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe there's a free version. But I use Melodics to teach, just playing. It's a lot more fun to do with students than it is like, let's learn the piano or let's learn the whatever. And then you can actually work with your pads and stuff too. Very fun. Very cool way to learn. You can learn writing music that way, and just the ergonomics of finger drumming. Lucas says, I'm working from home with cybersecurity. Good. Glad you're able to stay employed. Diego says, just got done with finals. Congrats, dude. It's over. Guys, feel free to call in. Lots of you are super active in the chat. Let me know if I need to, if you guys are having trouble. And I can fix it. Who else is here? Did I say hi to my mom already? Hi, Mom. Raphael said, great videos, man. I don't know if I said thank you, but thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, very cool. Or we can just keep chatting like this. Savage TV Productions says, yeah, I use Melodics with my Akai MPK Mini. Cool. Yeah, it has a lot of controller support. Like, I would use it with Launchpad. It works with Push. I think Rachel Collier just did some content with them too, and she's a really cool artist. If some of you don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do. She just did some content with Melodics, so that's pretty dope. Million Music asks, what's the basic or least laptop specs we need for music production? I currently have a MacBook Pro with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Sometimes Ableton hangs. Yeah, so a lot of people get very confused about this, and it really comes down to processor. So with your laptop, a lot of RAM is good, and your processor really matters. So let me go to About This Mac. I have a 2.2 gigahertz processor, but it's an i7, and I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. The thing about RAM is Ableton only uses so much RAM. You have to actually tell it to use over 4 gigs of RAM, I believe, and you have to be running 64 gigabyte. So you definitely want an i7 or above. If it's an i5, it's going to chug a little, though I did have a laptop that had an i5. The only problem with it was like using stuff like Wavetable or any kind of intense plugins. It was rough. It did not work. I'm going to go ahead and try to update Zoom while we're here and see what happens. I'm going to end the meeting, so if you're trying to join right now, don't. I'm just going to try to do this. Oh, a new version is available. Update. And then I'm going to drop a new meeting ID into the chat. And let's hope this doesn't break my computer trying to install this while we're on stream. Nova Beats says, did Beattober help you break out of your comfort zone? It absolutely did on a couple different levels. So, well, in one way, it helped me build really good habits. And in another way, it helped me realize that I can actually make stuff at that rate. Like, I can actually make cool beats once per day, which is kind of like a low bar when you consider a lot of the huge beat makers. I can actually make a good beat, but I can actually make a good beat video once a day. That like totally fixed things for me. That taught me, because there was a moment on October 1st, because this was a beat challenge. For those of you who don't know, I did like this challenge where I made a beat video every single day for the month of October. We'll definitely be doing it again this October, and I hope to get a bunch of you all in on it. And I decided I was going to make a beat video every single day, which means making the beat, making the video, putting it out by basically 12 noon every single day for 31 days straight. And there was a moment on the first where I had to ask myself, okay, am I doing this Beattober thing or am I not doing this Beattober thing? And it turned out that I pushed myself over the edge and I said, okay, I'm doing it. But there was a turning point there. That's the thing. We can catch ourselves in this like branching pathway when we can either be like, yes, I'm doing the thing I'm going to do, or no, I'm going to back off. I'm going to do it later. So that's kind of how that happened. It seems like Zoom is down today, my friends. Is that true? Will not let me start a new meeting, unfortunately. So we're going to have a short Mentor Monday today, I suppose. Lucas says, met your channel through Beattober. Oh, that's really good to know. Sabinro asks, missed my earlier question, sorry. Niche music or various niche? It's tough. You absolutely want to try to find your sound. You want to build your skills, and it depends where you are at as an artist. Like if you're still finding your sound, you should do various types. If you find a sound that you really love, you should kind of stick to it and go for it. But it's really whatever makes you happy, you know? You can't force yourself to do certain things. You can't force yourself to do genres you don't like. That said, it will help you build an audience a lot more if you kind of stick to one sort of thing, or you have some layer of consistency. Maybe the layer of consistency is your personality. Maybe the layer of consistency is your music, the genre, or maybe there's running threads between the different genres of music you make. But it can go either way. Thank you, Tamara. I appreciate it. Yeah, Nova, we've got some time to think about it, right? So we've got 5 months for you to think about whether you're going to do Beattober with me this year. So are you going to do it? Got 5 months to think about it. If you think about it, you could start making videos today and release them as Beattober and nobody would ever know. What is up with this Zoom today? Yeah, Gabu says use Google Hangouts. I think that would be just complicated. I don't know what the issue would be. And then it doesn't have like the waiting room set up. So it's not as helpful. But bear with me, folks. We're trying. Zoom is trying. I can see it. But I'm glad we were able to get one call in today. Oh, it's almost working. Well, if the stream suddenly goes down, my friends, you know that Zoom broke my stream. Did I ever watch Dead Mouse 5's masterclass? I did not. But it looks cool. I've watched the thing about those masterclasses, they definitely all look cool. I'm sure that you can get value out of watching them. But a lot of the artists that have done the masterclass series have also done a ton of interviews, like a ton. And if you just like consume, like if you really wanted to do Dead Mouse's masterclass, but you don't want to put up the money or anything, just go watch all of his coffee runs with Dead Mouse. He had a series where he just went and got coffee with a bunch of other DJs. He's got tons of interviews. Like just consume all that and you'll get like the same knowledge, but it won't be the exact level of masterclass, but you can still absorb a lot from there. Yeah, Zoom is just totally hung up. Spiral of death. I can't even force quit it. There we go. Just try to force quit it one more time. Do I need an audio interface if I just want to connect my MIDI controller? No, you do not. You only need an audio interface if you need to hook up monitors that need TRS or RCA. Even at that point, you don't. And if you want to run audio in those, so through like a 1/4-inch cable, like for a guitar or an instrument, or like a microphone. That's really, you can get away with not having an audio interface if you're not recording audio. All right, guys, I'm trying to start the meeting again. I know a lot of you want to call in. It literally just hangs every time. Matador Beats says, "Hey, I've been using FL Studio for the past year and recently switched to Ableton because of you. It was a great switch and really worth it. Thanks." Matador, I'm glad. I wonder what is working out better for you with Ableton than was working with FL Studio. Let me know. Emilio asks, so yeah, I guess we're just going to do all text chat today. Sorry, guys. Sorry I can't do the call in right now. Zoom is struggling. But Emilio asks, would you recommend... Hello? Would you recommend leveling up from a DAW to a DAW-less setup, like a groove box, if I just want to jam and maybe record live sets? I mean, yeah, sure, you could do that. I feel like they're two different things. Like, if you're going to use your DAW strictly for creating like finished tracks, like working on stuff over time, versus a DAW-less setup that would potentially be for live performance, then those are two different things. I think you should embrace doing both of those. I don't think it's a switch. Just because you do one doesn't mean you can't do the other. And I do both. I love my little groove boxes, my model cycles, my innovation circuit. And that helps you break habits too. You learn things from those two different setups, and you can totally take things from live performance or things from making tracks and utilize the cross section of skills for both. Yeah, I'll have to test Zoom next week. Actually, we're using Instagram next week, so this is actually perfect. Not perfect for this week, but next week we'll be using Instagram anyway. So if you really want to call and chat, put a reminder in your calendar to call in next week on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram because I'm going to let you know when it happens, like when it's about to happen. I'll give a warning on my story, and you guys will be able to be on. Then we'll actually be on video with each other on Instagram. So that's actually another level. That's pretty cool. How important is music theory to you? Asks Don Joe. Clever name. Music theory is very important to me in understanding the keys that I work in. If I want a specific sound, if I hear a sound and I want to mimic it, I can just kind of like analyze it with my ears, having music theory knowledge and know how to recreate it. If I just have an idea in my head and I need to put it out, I can understand it theoretically. So that helps me understand chord progressions, helps me understand melodies and harmonies and what works. So at a certain level, it's very, very helpful. Grand Sing Music asks or says, I have just hit 1,000 subs after 1 year of YouTube. Excellent work. Keep it up. I make a combination of piano covers and music production composition videos. I'm not really sure which avenue to narrow down on or continue both. It's two things to figure that out, Grand Sing Music. If you've hit 1,000 subs, that's a really decent audience number. Go into your videos and figure out which ones are the most popular. Sort them and figure out which ones are most popular. And double down on the most popular stuff. Try to go into what people subscribed for. Or that's a better analytic. In YouTube, you can see which videos drove the most subs, so which videos resulted in the most subscriptions, and you can imagine that those subscribers are going to want to see a similar type of video or a similar genre, you know. That also said, you should do what makes you happy. So if what the people love isn't what makes you happy, you should just keep doing what makes you happy. If your goal is to grow a YouTube channel and be happy, split the difference with yourself, do what the people like and what you like. Gabu, is that at the same time? Yeah, I will try to do it at the same time. It's all weird because we're going to be on the West Coast, so I'm going to have to calculate for the time difference. I'll try. Make sure you guys go check out Grand Sing's channel because you could use some support, and maybe you can actually give some good feedback on that. Yeah, wow, this is crazy. Zoom cannot connect for nothing. Click on it, it just freezes. It's overheating. Bizarre. You figure with everybody using Zoom, they wouldn't be able to have these problems. I'll try to launch it one more time, guys. But keep questions coming in chat. I'm having enough fun answering in chat. It's not the same thing as being able to answer live with the call-ins. I do miss that a lot, but perhaps I can get it to work. I shouldn't have updated, but it seems like the reason we could not have call-ins was because the update was not working. Okay. As soon as I hit new meeting, it hangs up, I feel. Oh well. Gabriel says, just bought a Launch Key Mini. Anything I should know? Check out my Launch Key Mini videos. It'll show you what you can do with it and a little bit of how to do what I do with it. Yeah, Gabriel, I'll start listing times in PST. It's going to be a tough transition, I would say. For me and for the audience and the confusion and all that. Tamara says, will you be doing these on YouTube again or switching totally to Instagram? Instagram is only for next week. Unless for some reason it becomes like amazing on Instagram. But Instagram is only for next week. We will be back to YouTube the second week of June. So the second Monday in June. But like I said, I got an announcement coming later this week. That is going to mean there's going to be a lot of live programming for you folks to all watch. Might not all be featuring me, but it is all going to be really good live programming. Tiago says, I find it difficult to improve my music production because I'm not surrounded by artists. Basically, I'm alone in my island. How do you improve being self-taught with little to none feedback? The internet, my friend, the internet in virtual communities, I know it's tough when you feel isolated, but we're all kind of dealing with that now. We're all stuck in our homes, most of us, a lot of us, and we all can't go out there and learn from other artists or get direct feedback. But this is the internet age. You got to join a community, whether it's this community in the chat here or another digital community that you're fond of. But I really don't participate in a lot of in real life communities, and I'm sure that's limiting for me. But I've always had almost strictly digital. I've always had an almost strictly digital community and feedback loop. Right. I've got some friends that are artists or musicians. I don't have a ton of people around me that are doing music professionally, but I have enough people around me that are creative enough to embrace what I do and give feedback and things like that. But a lot of it is just like following your intuition, putting stuff out and getting feedback on what you put out. Are headphones important when producing or quality of speakers? By the way, greetings from France. Greetings, Gabriel. They're definitely important for sure, but there's like that interview with Skrillex where he talks about like mixing stuff on broken speakers. Like you can get a lot of work done on very not so great gear. Do the best with what you can afford. That's what I always say. Do the best with what you can afford. Emilio asks, motorcycles or circuit? That's tough. If I had to pick one right now, it would still be circuit because you can do a little bit more on it. Circuit's got samples and 2 synth engines, 4-part drum machine, a little bit more than the motorcycles. I would say circuit's a little more user-friendly than the motorcycles, but they both kind of have their nuances in usability. But I'd have to go with circuit if I had to pick one right now. But they sound completely different. That's the thing. You gotta go based on your taste and your sound. Oh, Tiago is Zippy Productions. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, dude, embracing who you are. Like, and don't feel like you have to hide behind that name or anything. The Zippy name. You can use your name. You can use whatever you feel most comfortable with. I'm glad you have. I'm glad I can make that connection and know who's who. Some people have secret internet names, and then you don't know who they are on Instagram versus on YouTube. And sometimes I talk to them like I've never talked to them before, but we've been talking on YouTube for years. You know, it's kind of wild. Yeah, it's so bizarre. It says connecting. Am I actually in the meeting? I don't even know. Let me see. I think so. Just as connecting. It's very strange. End meeting for all. Well, this time Zoom didn't crash, so I think that means something. I'm hitting new again to see if it'll make something new. Lucas, I'm stuck on buying new MIDI gear, Launchpad S, Launchpad Pro, MIDI Fighter, Launch Key. I'm a control freak. Same. Should we put out more control freak merch? Lucas, let me know. Yeah, Tiago, find your identity and take the time to do that. Good idea, Emilio. Maybe I should do a video on what I think about both of those types of groove boxes. What would be the set of platforms to start putting out the very first pieces if one has started off just lately? Oh, Barrett, thank you for typing in your question. I'm sorry I wasn't able to take your call. I assume it was a problem on my end. Let me know what the issue was, if you had an issue on your end, or if it was just not working, because I think Zoom is down. But that's a good question. If I had to release right now, the answer is as many platforms as you can make content for. So if you can get your tracks onto SoundCloud, distributed to Spotify, wherever. Maybe if you want to test stuff out, you don't want to send it out to all the big platforms yet, but starting on SoundCloud and YouTube, Instagram, sharing your process. Because for you, if your work is not up to par, like if your work is not at the level of the level you want it to be at, then releasing stuff that has to do with your process is going to do a lot better than you just releasing your music and expecting people, because people don't know that. People don't know that you're in your process unless you tell them. So if it's like making a video about how you're making a track for the first time, or if it's doing an Instagram post that's showing your process in progress and explaining to people that you're a beginner, that goes a lot longer than just releasing a track that doesn't sound so great, but it's just where you're at. Regardless of if it doesn't sound great, it's where you're at. That's your truth at the moment. But people don't know that unless you tell them that. So if you just put out a track, they're assuming that it's going to be as good as everything else they hear. And when it's not, it's disappointing and it does a bad thing for your name. So if you embrace the fact that it's your process and you let people know you're starting out and you share the process more than you're sharing the work, because the work isn't where it's going to be in a year from now, where you want it to be. That will do a lot better than just putting tracks out that are not 100% where you want to be. Oh, I'm trying to keep up with the questions. Chat's flying. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Another question. How did you decide what direction to take your music? Did you make a conscious choice to really focus on a certain style? Or did you just let what came naturally? It's a little bit of both. So I come from songwriter world, and I've released some original songs before. When I got into electronic music and beat making, I was still one foot kind of in that world and one foot kind of in this world. But I realized that it didn't mix well. Like, it didn't make sense to put them all together in one place for the time being. So I went strictly to instrumental, electronic kind of music, honed my sound a little bit, and then kind of took a 40,000 foot view of everything I was making and was like, oh, these are the consistent things. Let me try to refine that even more. So when you get a body of work, that's actually really helpful, because you can analyze yourself and see like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Because sometimes you don't see it when you're in it, you know? For sure. A lot of people offering advice in here, which is nice. We can all help each other. It doesn't have to just be me talking, you know? That's actually the purpose of this show, is to get some other folks talking. Try to restart Zoom one more time. Quit. Who or what inspires you to make music? That depends. Depends on the day. It could be another artist that I see. It could be like a really amazing song that I heard and I want to make something just as good. It could be a movie that I watch. I want to make something that reflects what I feel watching that movie, but in sound form. Could just be how I'm feeling that day. It's different. Tamara asks, what helps you when you feel like you have a creative block? I feel like that happens to me often, especially being so new to all this. There's times, so this is actually a very, yes, so Zoom is now sending me emails. It's so odd. That's so weird. So something for me that I had to be self-aware about is there are days when I feel super motivated and I'm super in the mood to make stuff and I can just wake up and I'm ready to go. And then there are days where I just cannot do anything. Like I feel not paralyzed, but I feel like it's just not the day. And what I wasn't realizing before is that those days come and go. So those days come and then the next day it's okay. Next day we're back to like being motivated and stuff. And if I spend that day, that should be a day of rest, dwelling on the fact that I'm not motivated to do things, then I spend that day stressed and in a negative headspace when eventually some days I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a rest. And if I'm going to do that, then I might as well do that on the days that I'm just not feeling motivated. And embrace the fact that those days are just for me. They're not for making stuff. They're just for resting and reflecting and consuming for a bit and then moving on. And usually from there, I feel pretty refreshed as long as I haven't put myself down too much, right? So that's the thing, is being self-aware enough to make those distinctions in your mind and not beating yourself up too much, but also being self-disciplined. Luke says, currently I'm trying to learn sound design. I'm having trouble grasping certain concepts about sound design. Sound design is tough. Yeah, sound design is one of those things you might want to get a teacher for or take some classes on because that's super technical stuff, right? Once we get into the more technical stuff, if you're not having luck digging on YouTube and digging into the free content, you might want to get a guided experience. Don Joe's advice is not bad. Getting monitors before buying expensive VSTs. I'd say that's a good starting point. For sure. Yeah, you guys are adding a lot of great conversation here. I'm glad we can sort of do this as a group. And you know what? Where is Zoom at? There's so much great conversation happening today. And I feel really bad that Zoom has not been working. So what I want to do really quick is, let me just work this out. And I hope my patrons and this is usually only a Patreon perk, but I think this will actually make the community better, is since there's such great conversation today, and I want this conversation to keep going after the stream. I want to actually send folks a link to the Discord since we were not able to do Zoom today. Now, usually Discord is a Patreon perk. So usually you go to patreon.com/TAETRO, join for as little as $1, and you get invited to this Discord channel where we chat about stuff just like this all day. But we weren't able to do calls today, and I feel bad about that. So what I want to do is put a link in the chat that will only be up for it actually will only be live for 24 hours. So here's a Discord link in the chat. Hopefully everybody in the Discord can welcome folks with open arms and realize that I'm kind of offering this as a one-time thing. It will usually be a Patreon perk. Join the Discord. This link is only live for like right now. It won't be live when this stream is up after. And join. Let's continue this conversation. I'm in the Discord. We've got lots of folks that have been in the Discord for a while, a great community, and I think a lot of you can ask these questions to each other within that Discord, and I feel bad that Zoom didn't work today. So as a thank you to everybody for hanging and being super positive, being a very positive community, answering each other's questions, jump in, join the Discord. Thank you all so much. If you can, go to patreon.com/TAETRO and join at the low tier. But if you can't, that's okay. I see a lot of you jumping in now. I hope it's okay for folks who like did Patreon and everything, and I hope you understand that this is just a one-time thing and we want to build the community. So as you can see, Capel is probably going to welcome folks. Make sure you say hello, introduce yourself, say where you're from in the Discord. But we are going to be coming to the end of Mentor Monday so far. Sorry I couldn't get Zoom to work. Next week, don't forget, we are doing this on Instagram, so there will not be a live YouTube stream next week. So if you can, follow me on Instagram. Swipe up on my story right now too and just say hey, or actually one of the stories might have a link, but just say swipe up and be like, hey, what's up, came from the stream today, let me know you're there, and let me know if you're going to tune in to next Monday's Mentor Monday, which will be on Instagram Live. So that will be fun. I don't think Instagram Live can get messed up that much. Effects on, you made it just to the end of the stream. Welcome. Mad heads joining the Discord right now. I'm going to remove this message in like 1 minute. So stay, jump in, introduce yourself. If you're on the stream and you just joined the Discord, please drop your name, say where you're from, say hello, say what's up, check out all the channels. Because it's great. Now we're going to be able to continue the conversation after the stream. I'm glad that we did this today. It's a little bit of a blessing that Zoom didn't work out. You guys are great. And the Discord community is going to welcome you with open arms too, for sure. Okay. This is the last chance to grab this link in the chat. The Discord link is there. I wrote it. I'm going to be removing it at 2:55 my time. So wherever you are, at 2:55 EST, which is in 3 minutes, I will be removing this link. I see Charles from Seattle jumping in. Kyara jumping in. Here from India is now in the Discord. Amazing. Barrett is in the Discord. Welcome. Yeah, this is great. 3 minutes left to join that Discord, and then the link comes down. Don Joe from NL. I don't know where NL is. AKA Evo from NL. Nata Beats joining from Virginia. Y'all are great. You know what's crazy is the YouTube stats aren't even updating. Is there something wrong with the internet? Who knows? But take a good look at this setup, chat, because we'll be in a totally new space. I'm actually getting a really cool desk. I just got word today about the desk that I'm getting. It's a standing and sitting desk that goes up and down automatically, or with a button, I guess. Building out like a very small studio room, so it's going to be super unique. You guys, this is now in the middle of my living room, so I will be going from in a big living room to my own small little space. It's small, but it is my own space, so that will be good. I'm super stoked to be moving. I'm hoping everything works out. I'm hoping I can get a stream up next week so that because I'm taking all my stream stuff. All my stream stuff I kept. I didn't put on the truck so I could keep streaming, and that I could set it up right when I get there. So that is the hope. Really hoping that it works out. If you can, if you're taking value, if you're super stoked about just joining the Discord, head to patreon.com/TAETRO. Join for as little as $1. It really helps with the support. It helps make sure that I can keep making content like this, that I can keep up the streams, that I can buy the equipment that I need to make these streams happen and bring everybody together. But of course, today was just kind of like a freebie, throwing out the Discord link, you know. Trying to do my best to support the community because we weren't able to do Zoom calls today. And I really appreciate everybody that tuned in. I know you guys look forward to the call-ins, but unfortunately Zoom made it impossible. Next week, we will be streaming live on Instagram. Mentor Monday will be on Instagram. Get ready to call in. I will let you know on my story when we're going to go live that morning. Or how about this? On Sunday, I will post and let you all know what time Mentor Monday will be on Instagram Live. I will post on my story. And if you are here in the stream today, on Sunday, when I post that story, I want y'all to swipe up and just let me know, hey, I was in your stream last week, stoked for the Instagram Live, okay? Let me know. that you were here. And of course, since a lot of you are in the Discord now, I will post about it there as well. All right, Discord link is coming down out of the chat. Sorry if you didn't make it in, but I'm glad that some folks could. Rashane says, what inspired the move? Gotta get out to LA, man. That's where everything is happening. Both my girlfriend and I work in these areas, right? I do YouTube and music, and that's where all the music conferences happen. That's where a lot of the brands are hanging out. She does fashion. That's where she needs to be. It's just like the perfect spot. It's actually where I wanted it to be anyway. So finally, we got it. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. We're coming to the end of Mentor Monday. Sorry about the call-in. Sorry that it didn't work, but welcome everybody who was able to join Discord today. Thank you all. Like I said, Instagram Live next week. On Sunday, I will post when the Mentor Monday will be, at what time. And I really appreciate all of you. Tiago, thank you so much for just becoming a patron. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, if you want to show some support for the channel, patreon.com/TAETRO, but not necessary. Glad we could add to our Discord community today. Thank you all so much for joining on this little freebie, a little mea culpa on my part because I was unable to do call-ins. Y'all are great. Y'all are like one of the best communities on YouTube. Let's keep things going. Let's keep the conversation going over on Discord. Let's keep talking about how we can push ourselves to make ourselves better producers and continue going on. Andres, thank you for chiming in. I'm glad I could give you that inspiration. Mahir, thanks for hanging. Capel, thanks for joining at the last moment. I'm sure you got woken up by all the Discord chats. Tiago, thank you for becoming a patron. Thank you everybody in the chat today who is a patron. I know there's a lot. I know Tamara's here. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting people. I'm trying to scroll through the chat really quick. But appreciate all of you. Thanks for being great. Getting ready to move in the next few days. It's not going to be easy. I'll be live again on Thursday with ADSR. Stay tuned for that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Stay in touch on Discord, on Instagram, on Twitter. Twitter at Nick TAETRO, Instagram at TAETRO. And you're already in Discord, so that's good. So thank you all so much for watching. See you all on Instagram Live next week. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.